Hey guys, so we are going to use our next few weeks together to take a look at one more unit, kind of just a few pieces. This whole unit's going to be on what are known as linear functions and just being able to do various things with them. So first off, let's start with definition. So a linear function is a function in which the graph of the solutions forms a straight line. So everything that we're going to work with over these last few weeks together are going to be about the points, the graphs, the equations that form a straight line. Okay? Today, the focus is going to be if they give you that equation, can we fill in a chart and get the ordered pairs that then go onto our graph? So first thing I want to say is that I know that many of you don't have access to a printer and that you're just doing assignments on notebook paper, and that's fine. So when it comes to, say, the assignments for this lesson, you can certainly set the table up on notebook paper. Do your best to create your graph. Okay, you don't need to have your graph look like what's on my screen with all of these boxes. Just make your X and Y axis, put the couple, say, tick marks as to where those things are so that you can count. You won't need graphs that are very big. Trying to keep all of the numbers sort of centralized. Just for the sake of limiting what you might have to do by hand since we're not together. Okay? So when you are asked to find solutions to a function, so what's in front of you here on my screen is a chart. So notice the X column is already filled in for you. Then we have a column that says y equals 2x minus 3. We have a y column, and then we have our ordered pair x comma y. Okay? The column here with our y equals 2x minus 3, this is merely a spot for your work. So this is not a column that's always going to be given inside a chart, and it's not a column you necessarily need if you were doing something on your own. But since we're sort of working on this together, it might be new for some people. This is just a place for us to sort of show our work. Main thing you're going to need is the X and the Y column. And then if it helps to write the ordered pair column, that's great. Otherwise, you're going to take your X and your Y column, and that's how we're going to transfer this onto our graph. So when it says y equals 2x minus 3, notice my equation says y equals, and I'm trying to find my values for y. So this 2x minus 3 is really what my focus is, and I have to use whatever they've given me for my x value. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this box and we're going to say, okay, instead of 2 times x, 2 times my x value is -1, and then we want to subtract 3. Well, 2 times -1 is -2, and we still need to subtract 3. So use a calculator if you need to, but this is -2 minus 3. That's going to give me a value of -5. And so we take our x value, we take our y value, and in this last column, our x value was -1, our y value was -5. That's my ordered pair. And so the idea is you're just going to repeat this process, but in every row, your value for x changes. So for example, here I have 2 times 0 minus 3. So 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is -3. And so that gives me an ordered pair of 0, -3. Next row, 2 times +1, and then we need our -3. Well, 2 times +1 is +2. 2 minus 3 is -1. So +1, -1. That's my ordered pair. And in the last row, 2 times, in this case, +2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is +1. And so ordered pair 2, 1. So what we want to do is we want to take our ordered pairs and we want to be able to graph them. Okay, so if we're going to graph our ordered pairs, we are going to take this ordered pair. Remember, it's x then y. So if this is my x-axis going left to right, this is my y-axis going up and down. So if I start at 0, I'm -1 on the x, so I'm going to the left. Then I'm -5 on the y, so I count down 5 spots. I put my point. 0 on the x, so I'm here. -3 on the y. +1 on the x, -1 on the y, +2, +1. I just realized there's a typo. Let me fix that. This is +1. There we go. And so notice that my 4 dots look as though they're making a straight line. That's what we want them to do. If you have dots that sort of start zigzagging, then you know something's wrong over here in your chart. Ultimately, we then want to take our points, we want to connect them using a straight line, something like that. And we do want to put arrowheads at the end of our line, okay? That's saying that it goes on forever. I could keep adding rows to my chart and I could find more points in either direction. I would just need a bigger graph, okay? But right now, that's all we're asking you to do. Fill in the chart, get your ordered pairs, stick those ordered pairs on the graph, and make sure that you're getting a straight line. Again, that's going to be our whole unit is straight line. So if you're not getting a straight line, you want to make sure that you go back and that you try again. So let's look at another one. Y equals -x plus 2. So here you want to be very careful that there's this negative in front of your x. If you remember things that we've done before, remember it's like there's a -1 here. So if you want to put in that -1, that could be really helpful to make sure that we do the next portion of this correctly. For example, if that's a -1 in front of my x, and my x value is -2, and then I still have this +2. Remember, negative times negative is going to make a positive, right? So -1 times -2 is +2. +2, 2 plus 2 makes 4. And that gives me an ordered pair of -2, 4. So I'm just going to keep going through this. We have the -1 in front. This time x is -1. There we go. And we're going to add 2. And so -1 times -1. This is multiplying, remember? So +1 plus 2 is going to give me a value of 3. So -1, 3. Keep going, -1 in front, x value is 0. Anything times 0 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So 0, 2. And the last one, -1, x is +1. That's going to multiply to a -1. -1 plus 2 is +1. And so +1 is my ordered pair. And so now ultimately we need to go in and we need to graph our points. So I'm just going to start at the top. -2 on the x, 1, 2. +4 on the y, plot our point. Go back to 0. Now I'm at the next point. -1 on the x, +3. Go back to 0. 0 on the x, +2. +1 on the x, +1 on the y. Once again, you should be getting a straight line of points, and if we're not, then we do need to go in and fix. And we'll stick our arrowheads on there. Okay, so just remember, a negative in front of your letter does mean that it is a -1, and if it helps you to use that -1, go ahead and put that in. And so let's do one more. y equals -3 minus 2x. So here, instead of the x being the first thing, it's sort of the second thing, but what we do is going to be the same. We're just going to really have to watch our positives and negatives. So -3 minus 2 times, and my x value is -3. So I still have this -3 in front. This is multiplication, so you can treat this as -2 times -3. Well, a negative times a negative makes a +6. -3 plus 6 is +3. And so ordered pair, -3, +3. Go again. So -3 minus 2 times -2. So I still have this -3. -2 times -2 is +4. -3 plus 4 is +1. So -2, +1 is my ordered pair. -3 minus 2 times -1. So -3. -2 times -1 is +2. -3 plus 2 is -1. Again, you have access to a calculator. Make sure you're using it if it's helpful, especially with all these positives and negatives going on. So -3 minus 2 times 0. So -3. Whether you say plus or minus 0 here doesn't matter. The point is this is 0, which means you're going to get the -3 for your y value. And so 0, -3 for my ordered pair. So let's go to the graph. -3 on the x, 1, 2, 3. +3 on the y. Plot your point. -2 on the x, +1 on the y. -1 on the x, -1 on the y. And 0, but -3 down. Let's put our line through here. There we go. And last but not least, whoops, make your arrows. I should have fixed my size on there, but you get the point. Okay, so all you're going to need to do when it comes to the assignment is you're going to make the charts, and you'll have to make a couple graphs of your own. Again, if you're doing it on notebook paper, just do the best that you can.